Welcome, Chennai. My name is Purushu, and I'm an artist who uses fashion as a medium of expression. Now, before I get into the philosophies of my designs, we'll be seeing a series of visuals that takes us a bit back in time. First image we have here is set in the 17th century. Now, you're looking at a beautiful pair of high heels, yeah, with what looks like metal or stone ornamentation. Now, these are shoes that would ideally be sold as women's wear in this world, yeah, in this society. However, King Louis XIV of France, to whom these shoes belong, definitely wasn't a woman. It's his portrait that we have basically zoomed into. You're looking at one of the powerful ruling class male beauty from the 17th century France. Men, they wore jewelry, men wore headgears, and even makeup for most part of the clothing history. The first systematic divide between the clothing of men and women, it happened sometime during the Industrial Revolution in Europe. Now, this was a time when mass manufacturing gains prominence and men's clothing, it becomes more serious. This was a time where even the hairstyles become short. And women's clothing, on the other hand, in this era, becomes more decorative than ever before. This, by decorative, I mean suffocating corsets, cumbersome crinoline gowns, which restricted movement, was highly uncomfortable. And by 19th century, these shoes that you're looking at, they no longer represent masculinity. They don't, in fact, by 19th century, vanity and decoration, they hamper the notion of masculinity. Now, we have gone through one of the many examples which assert the fact that gender tags as such, they change with time. Gender tags, they not only change with time, but even geographical boundaries. Now take a Scottish kilt, for example. It could be a short skirt like feminine silhouette for someone here in Chennai. However, it's a masculine garment in Scotland. In fact, gender constructs, they also change with cultures. Now, take a lungi, for example. I'm wearing one. It's a prominent men's garment in Tamil cultures all across the world. However, it could be yet another draped feminine silhouette for someone who is from an alternative culture. Gender is unlike sex. It's not a biological trait. Gender is a socio-psychological construct that evolves with personality and society. Yeah? Because gender is fluid. Maybe you'll find that with our next image. Now you have the color pink. Now, pink, again, is widely perceived as feminine in this society, right? However, here's something interesting. And I'm quoting from a 1918 copy of Ladies' Home Journal, and it says, pink, being the more decided and stronger color, is more suitable for boys, whereas blue, which is more delicate and dainty, is more suitable for girls. You heard it right. In fact, pink was considered as a masculine color prior to World War II. Yeah? The hypothesis is that pink, being a shade of red, was fiery and masculine, whereas blue was largely associated with Virgin Mary, and therefore was perceived to be feminine. The name you read here, it belongs to an Italian fashion designer. In the 1930s, she introduced this shade of pink, a then masculine color, to women. And this color will be known as the shocking pink. In the Nazi concentration camps, pink triangles were used to mark inmates accused of homosexuality. Therefore, the color pink, it also emerges as a symbol of gay rights movement. And post-World War II, pink was largely perceived as a feminine color. Now, it's interesting to note that the color pink as such doesn't have a gender identity, right? In fact, colors and clothes, they don't have a gender identity. Products do not have a gender identity. Our minds do. Let's travel all the way back to the origin of clothing now. Yeah? Now, the earliest people who wore clothes, they didn't wear men's wear or women's wear. Yeah? Their clothing wasn't men's or women's. In fact, gender neutrality was the default setting involved in the origin of clothing. In fact, clothing emerged as a medium of significant gender expression much later. It's actually around the Greco-Roman era, late Greco-Roman era, where men whose social roles back then was to go out and work, They probably rode horses. Hence, they wore shorter clothes for comfort, thereby normalizing shorter hemlines for men. And this was also a patriarchal society that not only dictated women to cover not just the legs, but even the hair and the neck. In fact, the gendered clothing we have today is a direct product of sexism inherent in the past. Yeah? In your menswear, it's always advertised as the next big breakthrough in functionality and comfort. And when I'm talking about comfort, women's clothing barely have any pockets. Because women are told to match their outfit with the trendiest handbag out there. Now, with a show of hands, can you see the number of women here who are carrying handbags? Can you see the hands, please? Oh, there are quite a few hands. And can I see the number of men who walked in with handbag here? And finally, when a man carries a handbag, it's not just a handbag. It becomes a men's bag. Yeah? We have a men's prefix there. There are way too many pointlessly gendered products out there. Yeah? We as a society have defined an absolute binary notion of gender. Now we have tagged values such as toughness, courage, aggression. We have tagged them as masculine. And we have tagged values such as kindness, compassion, sensitivity. We have tagged them feminine. We have reduced values tagged as masculinity to men in male bodies, and we have limited the values tagged as femininity to women in female bodies. The truth is, we are made of both the values. It's never just this or that. In fact, it is always a bit of both this and that, right? Now, there are various cultural icons in the last 50 years who have worn gender-fluid styles. However, we are quick to point out how they're cross-dressing. We do, right? However, we don't point out cross-dressing with the same enthusiasm when a woman is wearing trousers. That's because women in trousers is normalized in this society. It wasn't normal for women to wear trousers 100 years ago. In fact, it was outrageous when Paul Poiret introduced trousers for women in the 1920s. And it was outrageous when Coco Chanel introduced the suit for women in 1940s. Because revolution itself is outrageous. Okay? Friends, we are looking at a future where people can share clothes regardless of the gender identities. We are looking at a future where gender-neutral clothing helps in breaking the walls built by the gender norms of the past. We are looking at a future where together we'll be creating an inclusive gender-neutral revolution. Thank you so much.